Hey folks, this is Riker, bringing you the best Diablo 3 2.1 monk build. While the Lightning Monk was the best pre-2.1 build, it turns out Holy Monks are all the rage in 2.1. Now full credit for this build goes to Quinsane, aka Quinn69, and you can follow the link in the description below to check him out yourself, but basically, this guy knows his monks. He's a monk player with multiple rank 1 titles on every season in the 2.1 public test realm. So when he says that this is the best monk build, this is the best monk build. I'll start by giving you an overview of the build, then we'll go over the skills and lastly the gear to make this work, as well as Paragon points and miscellaneous. The build revolves around the 4-piece bonus of the Sunwuko set, aka the Monkey King's Garb set. Spending 75 spirit causes a decoy to spawn that taunts nearby enemies and then explodes for 3,500% weapon damage as holy. This build revolves entirely around getting that effect to proc as often as possible. We don't care about the taunting decoy, we care about that delicious holy explosion happening over and over and over. So here are the skills we want to use to get this build to work. First off, for your primary generator, Way of the 100 Fists, Fists of Fury. It's good damage, it applies a nice damage over time effect that can stack, and it's holy. Next skill, Breath of the Heaven infused with Light Rune. While this is a great healing effect, we really want that rune effect. Gain 14 additional spirit from spirit regenerating attacks for 5 seconds after using Breath of Heaven. For this build, you want to be generating fury very fast and spending it just as fast. Next we have Epiphany, Desert Shroud. The rune is just gonna help you survive in those higher greater rift levels, but really what we want is that spirit regeneration buff that lasts 15 seconds. Next, Sweeping Wind, Inner Storm. If you'll notice, Sweeping Wind costs 75 spirit, and hey, what happens when you spend 75 spirit? The Sunwuko decoys spawn. Sweeping Wind is a skill that you're gonna use to proc this effect. The Inner Storm rune is there to grant you additional spirit per second. Mantra of Healing with the Time of Need rune is necessary for survivability, and in fact you're going to be spamming this skill basically as a secondary every 3 seconds to maintain that shield. Then our last active skill, Dashing Strike Radiance. You'll notice that it's fire damage and this is a holy build, but this is not to deal damage, this is to gain that 15% increased attack speed for 3 seconds. What does increased attack speed do? That means your Way of the 100 Fists is hitting more often. If that's hitting more often, you're generating spirit more often. Onto the passives. Alacrity. Increase the attack speed of spirit generators by 15%. Hey, are we seeing a pattern here? What do we just say? Boost your ability to generate spirit. Seize the Initiative. Dealing damage to enemies above 75% life increases your attack speed by 30% for 4 seconds. At the start of the fight, you want to buff up your attack speed so that you can start proccing those decoys as soon as possible. Beacon of Etar. Reduce all cooldowns by 20%. Cooldown reduction is very important to this build, especially for Breath of Heaven, and to a lesser extent, Epiphany. The Infused with Light rune on Breath of Heaven grants increased spirit generation on spirit generator attacks for 5 seconds, and it's on a 15-second cooldown. If you can get a total of 50% cooldown reduction on that skill, then we're talking 67% uptime. Then lastly, Harmony, because Harmony is the new One with Everything. It's still great, but it's not as mandatory as One with Everything. If you're not geared for Harmony, then you can always go with Sixth Sense to reduce all non-physical damage taken by 25%. Now, before I describe how all these skills come together, I'm just going to mention one piece of gear that is very important. It's not absolutely necessary, but it is tremendously beneficial to this build, and that is the Flying Dragon two-handed Dabo. As a legendary effect, the Flying Dragon has a chance to double your attack speed when attacking. When this effect procs, there's a visible visual effect on your character, and it lasts about 6 seconds. Of course, all that buffing to the attack speed of Way of 100 Fists is going to mean it's going to proc a lot more often. Faster attack speed, more chance to proc. Simple math. So the way you're going to play this is you're constantly going to be attacking with Way of 100 Fists, never stopping. While you're doing that, you are also maintaining your mantra. Every 3 seconds you hit that, it does not interrupt your attack, and then every time your flying dragon procs, that's when you're spamming Sweeping Wind. Why? You're generating spirit a lot faster. You're attacking twice as often with your generator, so you're gaining a lot of spirit, and you need to spend it. Anytime your spirit is capped out and you're not spending it, that is wasted generation. So you never want to be capped out on spirit. Anytime you're overflowing, that's wasted spirit. Always stay just under cap, spend, 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 and spend it the most. Spam it the most when you're flying dragon all around. How often will those decoys be proccing? Quinn69 reports 2 to 3 per second. Each of them exploding for 3,500 damage. So on to what gear you want. We already covered the ideal weapon that you want. If you don't have a flying dragon, that's unfortunate, but go with another two-handed monk weapon. You want a two-hander because the set you're using gives you 20% increased damage when using a two-handed monk weapon. Ina's Reach is a decent choice, and if you go that way, you're going to want to complete the Ina's set. Grab the Ina's Pants, and grab Ina's Chest, or if you haven't found a Witching Hour, then you can grab Ina's Belt instead. Of course, you need to complete Sunwuko set, so we're going to need the gloves, we're going to need the shoulders, then ideally get the amulet. If you can't get the amulet, then you can get the helm, but that means you're going to have to sacrifice getting the helm you really want for this build, which is the Eye of Peshkov. Why do you want the Eye of Peshkov? Because it reduces the cooldown of Breath of Heaven by a tremendous amount. You want to try to maintain 100% uptime, or as close to it as possible, on Breath of Heaven Rune's spirit generating effect. For rings, you're going to want a Ring of Royal Grandeur, obviously, and then a Unity Ring, one for yourself, one for your follower, and then on your follower, you want the legendary item that makes him invulnerable. You need this for survivability in the higher Greater Rift levels. If you either can't get that Unity set up, or you want to be ballsy, then you can instead go with the Band of the Rue Chambers in order to get even more spirit generation. For your belt, the ideal is a Witching Hour because it gives you attack speed and, more importantly, critical hit damage. But if you can't get a Witching Hour, then you can make do with a belt that gives you plus attack speed, or even the Vigilante belt, which gives you cooldown reduction. For pants and boots, you ideally want to be going with the Captain Crimson set in order to get that cooldown reduction. Alternatively, for pants, you can go with Depth Diggers in order to make your primary attack deal more damage. And for boots, you can go with Ice Climbers to gain that great immunity to freeze and immobilize effects. You can even go with the Crudest boots and then swap out one of your skills for Mystic Ally, Fire Ally. Then for torso and wrists, Quinn suggests Aughild set. That set gives you some nice damage reduction, but if instead you want to be a little more offensive, then for your chest you can go with Tal Rasha's. That will boost your attack speed. And for bracers you can go with Lakuni Prowlers, again to get that attack speed increase. Apart from that, all throughout your gear, you're going to want holy damage, you're going to want critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and cooldown reduction, again, very important. For your Paragon points, for core, you're going to cap out movement speed, then you're going to cap out dex. For offense, cooldown reduction, critical hit damage, attack speed, critical hit chance, in that order. For defense, all resist, armor, life regeneration. And for utility, area damage, resource cost reduction, life on hit, gold find. That wraps up this guide. You can check out the build in action over on Quinn's stream in the description below. Click here to watch more Diablo 3 videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.